Hey, buddy.
Well, hello.
What's
Yet
shaking?
again. You know, what did they say? Bacon? Kevin
Kevin
Bacon?
Bacon is shaking, and we're making a show called The
Yeah.
Late Innings. It's you, Charlie Furbush, and me, Tom Wilhelmsen, and you, all the listeners. We want you to be engaged. Ask us some questions. Tell us some stories. We can decide which ones suck or don't. Yeah.
Tune in.
Yeah, we'll be the judge of that.
That might be the all-time intro
Well,
ever. Off the cuff.
just
That's why you tune in, though. You never know what you're going to get. We don't even know what we're going to get.
it's almost like a box of chocolates.
It is. Especially around the
Did
holidays.
you-
Speaking of, we have Mother's Day coming up.
Mother's Day is coming up.
Make
May-
sure, please. Yes, right around the corner. Can you
May
believe
10.
End of the month here? So we got to be sure to take care of the mothers in our lives.
Amen. Every day is Mother's Day.
Boom. Couldn't have said
Love
it
you,
better
Mom.
myself. Love you, Mom. Love you, all moms.
Yeah.
No, sorry, that sounded weird. Take it back. Sometimes you catch yourself saying funny things.
Yeah, and that's okay, man. That's
Isn't
what we're
it
here
great?
for.
It's
I'm not
okay.
going to judge you on it.
That's what we're here. Unbelievable.
Was there anything in particular that you did to get yourself ready for a ball game? Was there, everyone's got different routines. Obviously, bullpen guys are a little bit different because we're not going out there to play, the first inning, or not very often anyway. But was there something that you had to do? Like, I remember back in the day, one of those years we were ripping apple cider vinegar shots. Right. And then, I don't know, we had like a scoreless month. And then, John Jaso was taking it with us. And half the other guys started ripping apple cider vinegar shots with us before the game.
Yeah, I think there was always some sort of mutual, hey, we're about to, go step on the field. Let's leave it all out there, right? No matter what you
Right.
got today. From like, you spark just a memory in my head because in a lot of ways, growing up, you didn't really have any sort of this routine. You just kind of showed up and you're with your friends and played and whatnot. And I think that once you get into the professional ranks, it really changes what you need to focus on. It's like, it's a team game, but it's kind of individual because you're trying to do the best you can to figure out what you do before the game. And I remember as a starter, I was kind of sporadic. And then I thought, wow, I'm going to have to do something different because I just felt I didn't have much consistency from start to start. And one of the pitching coaches in the Tiger system, Joe Coleman, and he was like, hey, why don't you start listening to music
That's what I
beforehand?
did.
Like put some music on and like see if you can just kind of get in the zone that way, right? And you end up seeing a lot of that. Guys will listen to a variety of music to get themselves right mentally and know that they're going to go out and try and perform and do the best they can to help their team win. And yeah, it's as I rant about this, it's definitely evolved because when you go to the bullpen, it's like there's a whole nother approach there. And yeah, I think I can't remember anything beforehand off the top of my head if we did anything beyond the apple cider vinegar shots because we used to drink Red Bulls quite often.
In like the fifth.
But those weren't in the pregame. I'd always want to eat something, so I'd probably eat like a banana.
You definitely had a banana.
Yeah, I usually was a pregame banana. But I mean, I think I think you have to just be so willing to make adjustments on the fly, and like something like that just felt, and I don't know if it benefited us, right? But
Sure it did.
it was certain.
Until it didn't.
I mean, it wasn't easy. It wasn't easy going down, but yeah, it was a good communal thing for sure. So like the pregame ritual stuff is always hilarious because everyone's a little different, right? I mean, if you go into that clubhouse 20 minutes, 30 minutes before the game, everyone's kind of on a different timeline of if their uniform's on yet or if they're out, stretching or whatnot. So everyone's different. Obviously, the bullpen guys like us, we're not going to pitch in the first inning more often than not, if ever, right? And so you kind of just ease into the game. You just have this like great vibe when you walk from the clubhouse down into the dugout, and you're high fiving everyone. Everyone's looking at you, and you guys. It's just like the best thing ever. Like walking out to the bullpen, right, as a unit, and it just feels so fun to be in that situation, knowing that you're going to be called upon some point later in the game, today, tomorrow, whenever, to go get it done. And bullpen life is crazy. But yeah, that was the apple cider vinegar. That was, I don't know. Do you remember anything else? I mean, we played together
Yeah,
for a handful of years, but I can't remember anything else.
I guess when I was a starter, I would definitely put on my headphones and would lock in, listen to like some hard rock, just some pump up music, wouldn't talk to anybody, just lock it in, right? And there's probably more starters that do that, starting pitchers that do that than others. But yeah, as a reliever, shoot, we did apple cider vinegar for a little bit. We would definitely play like Adele, like we'd play one song before we left the clubhouse.
Once they installed that, communal MacBook computer right there.
Right.
We had all access to music, and it was fantastic.
Right. And then, we'd slap hands with our teammates and everybody. And then once we stepped on the field, it was, we are the bullpen, the mighty, mighty bullpen. Yes. Wherever we go, people want to know who we are. So we show them we are the bullpen. We're going to kick the Jays' ass. And I remember we'd walk across the field chanting that. And then whoever we were playing, I remember looking at their bullpen or whoever was playing in the outfield as we're walking by, say we're on the road. And yeah, it was whoever team. We're going to kick the Jays' ass.
So right. You were pretty good at conducting that, I felt like.
I led that ship for sure, yeah. But everyone was in on it, and we all loved it. And
do you remember how that started?
How did it start? So when I was in Little League or around, that time, 9, 10, 11, 12, I remember like warming up on the field. We could do a little infield, outfield before the games.
Right.
But even before that, when we were stretching, we would do a jog around the park, jog around the field. And we were the Freebirds at that time. So we would chant that as we're running around the other team while they're stretching. And, the two guys up front would lead it. We are the Freebirds. And everyone else, repeats. And we would just run around the field yelling that and we're chanting it, and a sense of togetherness, and boy, that whole team's kind of just a little wacky because no one else is doing this, but we did, and I think more times than not, we were a pretty successful competitive team, with or without the chant. But
yes, so you were the architect then. At the end of the day, I mean, now it's all coming back. You led that chant multiple nights, if not every night. It seemed
at least for a year.
Okay.
It wasn't the whole time, but maybe that year up there.
And it wasn't like, I think it was that year because I'm almost positive because Rodney was closing that year.
Right. Rodney would come out and, whatever inning he wanted to. Bimo would always come out after the first inning. Just, nobody sit close to me because my breath is going to smell like cabbage. Yeah. All right, buddy.
Yeah, I think it was a DMSO cream or something weird or whatever. I don't know.
And it would.
That's
it would.
amazing.
He'd be honest, and his breath would reek.
Yeah.
But he would come out later. I don't know.
And then we did the chant.
Right. And then we'd play a ball game. But I, often remember, and I don't know if I want to call anyone out here. Everyone plays different, right? And you can see that in. Well, let's just take the World Baseball Classic, for instance, right? When Randy Rosarena comes up and he wants to shake Cal's hand, and Cal's like, yeah, I'm just not having it, A lot of chatter. Is that bad? Or do they not like each other? Is that going to cause problems in the locker room? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But they're two different guys. They play the game. Randy's pretty loose and like off on his own, and there's guys like that, and then a guy like Cal's obviously a little more serious, and nothing wrong. There's no right or wrong about it. It's just two different personalities going about the way they want to play differently, and a lot of times that doesn't meet up, which is fine. I don't think anyone took it too personal, but often remember 10 minutes before game time and would be there in his socks, his ball cap, and a jock strap. And he would just grab a bat and get ready to just butt naked with not like the sliders in the cup, like the old school jock strap with the two straps around your butt cheeks there and a cup and his socks that were high. And he would just sit there and get in his stance and, pretend to see pitches or something. And we'd be getting ready, singing Adele, just looking at him like, what a goofball. We got a game here in like 10 minutes, bro. And, he was ready. He was a fun teammate. Just, I'll never forget that. It was more than once. More than once. Not every day, but more than once.
The things you see over 162 games, because at the end of the day, you spend more time with these guys throughout the season than with your own family, and obviously it becomes like a mini family in every sense. So you get to see every angle of various individuals. So it's an amazing thing, but that's the beauty of it, right? You get the right group of guys together and something special can happen. So that's certainly where I think the Mariners season has potential to be. You look at even just where they're at right now, whole month in, back to where it all started, back to even 16-16. So it's like, it was a roller coaster ride at times, like even in the first 30 days. And that's when I think to a lot of people, if you're not a seasoned baseball watcher, if you don't understand that how things can change over the course of 30 days, even 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So it's just, you never want to dig yourself too big of a hole in April. And that's exactly what the Mariners did. They're right back to where they started. So it's really like you learn a lot, what you did well, what you didn't do well, and you try and take everything and move forward and take it one game at a time. But it's certainly nice that the Mariners are back where I think they should be. And with a little slow offensive start, they've certainly come around now and are looking like the team that they should be.
Right. And, not only 500, but second in the division, I think. The A's might be up a few games, but, that's in a good spot. They're in a good spot, and there's loads and loads of baseball left. They'll probably move up. They'll probably move down. They'll probably move up. They'll probably stay where they are. So, never get too high, never get too low, but keep working, keep trusting your process, the team's process. And at the end of the day, if you believe it and you do all the little things, you're going to be in a good spot to win a ball game, win a series, win a week, win a road trip, a homestand or whatever.
That's what the Mariners did. I went out and went 5-1 on the road trip, just righted the ship, if you will, because it could have, if it went the other way, and a lot of close games that they did have on the road with St. Louis and Minneapolis, it could look a lot different now, right? So you look at how some early season series that you win or sweep is just super valuable in terms of continuing to move forward. But yeah, it's going to be exciting to continue to watch this team. And got this coming weekend is Randy Johnson retirement number night. So just another legend in the organization that we all have had a chance to see, meet, and talk about. Obviously, we both grew up with him. I'm not sure when you first started paying attention to Randy Johnson, but he certainly captured my attention back in Maine from a young age. Just like, this guy is a freak of nature and arguably the best left-handed pitcher ever.
Yeah, 100%. No, I definitely started watching him with the Mariners, and, can't forget about Little Big League. I think he has an appearance in that game, in that movie. And he just looks so big and mean and just so intimidating, right? Like, I wouldn't want to be in the box with him throwing, or a bird flying in the area. Well, no, would try to avoid that. So we all saw what happened there. But then he came over to Arizona, I think after a stop in Houston, maybe, and won a World Series here. So we definitely followed him. I think he got his no-hitter with Arizona, the Diamondbacks, when he wins
20 strikeout game.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Guy's a legend, man.
He is.
Did you play Ken Griffey Jr. baseball video game back in the day?
Yeah, like at buddy's house. Yep.
Okay. All right. Not as avid as I was, because that was, just growing up in the Northeast, really just being associated with either Red Sox or Yankees fans. Having that game come out and being exposed to the rest of the league, and just, it's the same feeling I had playing NBA Jam and using the Seattle Supersonics.
Yeah.
And it's like Gary Payton, Sean Kemp, and Detlef Shrimp. And it's just like, wow, this is the perfect combination of players you can roll with.
They were fun.
I think it, for me, put Seattle on the map, and just realized, wow, what a cool place to be. And it's just fun to have it be full circle. And then we end up playing for the Mariners, and now I live here. So yeah, it's amazing. But yeah, it's going to be fun to see Randy this weekend get his flowers, get his number retired. And I have had a couple different Randy Johnson interactions, and I'll tell you the first one, because the first one was arguably the coolest thing in my mind, like, that I ever witnessed. So I got done pitching in 2012. You go into the clubhouse after you're done, you get your work done. I get some ice, do some arm care, and I come back into the clubhouse, and I walk back in, and who's in the clubhouse? It's Randy Johnson talking to Félix Hernández, and I'm just like, here we go. I want to be the fly on this wall right now. So because it's during the game, so it's like empty clubhouse, and I think I was the first, maybe second pitcher that had pitched. So I'm up there and icing my arm, and I'm just like listening to this conversation, and I'm blown away with the approach that Randy Johnson took when he pitched. Like, this guy was an animal out there, and he went out there to just strike out the world, destroy everyone, and was so aggressive in his approach. And I think that it allowed him to bring out the best in himself. And I think that's why he's the greatest left-handed strikeout pitcher ever, right? I mean, certainly just an absolute force to be reckoned with. And he just had grilled all these like great kind of like pitching thoughts, and continuing to rely on your strengths and digging deep and knowing that your skills are amazing. So I'm just sitting here taking it all in, like, this is just so cool right now. And conversation gets over, they dap up, and everything's great. I actually went over, once I had a moment, I ended up actually asking for his autograph, because I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And I just didn't know. I was never one to ask for autographs when it being in the big league and exposed to that. Not something I was ever interested in, but it was the first guy that I ever asked, like a fellow player, an autograph. I went up to him and I was like, oh my, Mr. Johnson, you mind signing this? He signed it. It was just the coolest thing. Still got it. But fast forward, I guess it was 3 starts later. I'm pretty sure it was 3 starts after that conversation, Félix throws his perfect game. So I'm like, wow, there's got to be some sort of message that was received that allowed Félix to continue to go out and do what he always did, was just go deep in the game and dominate. And to think that was any sort of foreshadowing to what was going to happen, I don't know, but it certainly felt like it.
Total. That was. I remember that day. I remember him being in the clubhouse, and there's a few other times over the course of the 6 years over there where he'd come and make an appearance for something or another. But I know the first time you meet him, like, he's, I don't look up to too many people as far as like a physical point, right? Like,
totally
6'6" here, but he's ginormous and broad. Just that's intimidating. That's intimidating. And then
and we used to rock the mullet, the long hair, and just
mean, just like, I'm going to punch you in the face kind of face,
Yeah. And then some of the highlights over his career, when he, when he throw over John Kruk in the All-Star game, and he struck out, and then he faced Larry Walker a couple years later, and he decided to put his helmet on backwards and swing right-handed. It's just like, he was just, I don't think anyone was comfortable facing Randy Johnson. Right. So yeah, what a treat that we got to see growing up. He certainly, from a left-handed pitching perspective, in my mind, I was like, yeah, if you ever even sniff the talent level that he had, and the longevity too, right? I think that's the one thing that is so remarkable about his career. At the time, Mariner trainer Rick Griffin, remember, he would always tell me, he's like, remember, Randy got more wins in his 30s than he did in his 20s. From 30 to 40, he was, incredibly good. Not that he wasn't good from 20 to 30, but early in his career was a little more erratic, as young pitchers are, right? You kind of have to find your ability to throw strikes, and he certainly did that at the highest level with his wipeout stuff. So yeah, it'll be a fun weekend, and it'll just be fun to get the Mariners back in town and get a series going, and hopefully get over 500 against the Royals. But yeah, it's been fun to watch the team start the first month, because you never know what you're going to get, and obviously we all know it's a long season, and you kind of have to just hang out for a little while before it starts to get really, really interesting. You know what I mean? Because I think I get this question asked all the time. I don't know how you feel, but at what point do you evaluate the team, or at what point do you say, all right, I've seen enough, changes need to be made?
Yeah.
Like, is there a point where you lose too many? Obviously, if you're just losing everything, it's a little bit different and things get decisions made.
Right.
But generally speaking, I try to say 2 months of baseball gives you a good sense of where everything should be or is at. And I think the 2 months gives that chance for it to have a little high side, a little low side. And hopefully after 60 days, if you will, 60 games, you're going to know kind of where it is. And then you got, 3-4 months of baseball
another
left,
100
so
games
anything
or
can happen
so.
there.
Yeah.
So I don't know what do you think?
I think again, I don't know if there's a right or wrong answer here. It's, I mean, look at the Red Sox, right? They just canned Cora, the manager, not even 30 games in or just about that anyway. So I guess it's different for each organization and each person, but yeah, the first 2-3 weeks, not looking too deep into making changes or evaluating where our team is right now. So yeah, that probably comes, 7, 8, 9 weeks in, couple of months. It's a handful of games. You can really start to, crunch numbers or whatever you got to do to figure out, what's best for the team moving forward.
Yeah, and I think that it's easy to kind of look at it after one series and say, "Oh, this is it." But if you have to look a little deeper and say, "Oh, let's look at the schedule here." Well, if we look at like how the strength of schedule works out, and if the toughest games are in the first 30 days, and you just can maybe it's going to be tougher to kind of navigate those waters, but then it'll get easier. You may not be judging the team appropriately based on what's going on. And once the team kind of gets through the tough stretches and how typically offenses don't really start heating up until that May, June, July, August, right? So it's certainly something to always pay attention to, because when you do play a team that is struggling or scuffling, then it just gives you a better chance to win the game and kind of right the ship. So it's just always fun to talk to people that get a little panicked about the baseball schedule after, a month. Like, oh no, I don't know, man. I think everything's going south here. We think we should make drastic changes. What do you think? I'm like,
Settle down. Settle down.
Yeah.
There's still 130 games left.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple months in, I guess. But
maybe the better question,
easier.
or now that it's popped up, is like, when do you start to lose optimism? Because I think there's a point where you're totally optimistic, but at what point you go, all right, I'm not feeling that way anymore after what
it's got to be.
And it may not be the talent that is actually on the field. There could be just lack of execution, bad luck, injuries, whatever.
Sure.
But at some point you start losing a little optimism, like maybe we aren't as good as we thought we were.
Yeah, I don't know. That comes way later for me. Maybe when we're 100.
Yeah. Oh, same.
100 or so games in, 110. The rest of the schedule, and then what are our playoff chances? And
yeah, I mean, you got to think the trade deadline is probably for me the
good call.
You realize whether your team is gonna make a move or not, right?
And
sell or
right, and that's kind of the bit, I think, too, is like, well, the team is showing us how they're handling this, right? Are we going to go out and try to get a couple of big pieces that we might need, or are we just going to kind of play low and believe we can still do it with these guys, or are we going to give up some of our big pieces and still want to play competitive baseball, but maybe at that time there's like, yeah, well, we're probably not going to make the playoffs, and start looking at next year. As a ball player, that can be hard. That can be difficult. It's like, well, we just traded everybody away, and I guess I'm trying out for next season now. So maybe you're putting more pressure on yourself, knowing that you're not going to make the playoffs. You got to prepare for next year, and it's still this year. Wilder things have happened, but it's an interesting thing to think about, to talk about, for sure. Yeah. I don't know.
I know.
I would like to go back. You said something earlier to, like game routines, right? We talked about before the game, but after the game, right? Bullpen guys, you would probably do something every time after the game. Yeah.
Yes.
So you
would
watch us bat, say we're at home.
Well, there's only one scenario that reminds me that you may do slightly less is if you're the last pitcher of the day, it's getaway day, and you can kind of fast track the post arm care situation. That's the only time. Otherwise, yeah, you're doing something after you pitch every time.
You were an icer, right? Did you ice every time?
No, I was definitely, I felt like, I think there were times where I think that's like I learned over time. I think as a starter, I got done throwing 100 pitches, whatever, throw some ice on, here we go, right? But I think when I made the transition into the bullpen, initially I was like, why do I need ice? I feel great. You know what I mean? I just threw 14
Right.
pitches. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, but I think that in the very beginning, yeah, I think I had that stamina kind of built in. But then as I evolved, yeah, I just was like, all right, well, this can't hurt me. I'm going to try and do some ice. I'll do some arm care or arm care, then ice usually.
Yeah. Arm care. I wasn't a big icer. I guess I was when I was a starter throwing, 80 to 100 some odd pitches, and also knowing that I'm not going to pitch the next day. As a reliever, right. I shut down the ice. Really, the only time I would ice if I knew I wasn't going to pitch the next day. Just ice never made my arm feel that great. And I think there's no right or wrong answer there either. It's just based on the individual and what makes them feel good. To me, ice didn't really feel that great. I didn't like the way my arm felt afterwards. And, my arm always felt pretty good. So I would do my arm care and, back in my younger days, after an outing, I would run, try to just get new blood flow throughout that. But as a reliever, in the big leagues, I'm not really running like, during the game, I'm not hopping on the treadmill or whatever. I'm doing my arm care. That is the same routine every single time. Maybe mix in some elbow stuff, some forearm stuff every third or fourth appearance or whatever. But for the most part, it was just mostly shoulders.
Well, look at you. You didn't need ice. You never got your arm never hurt. You never hurt your arm. So it wasn't like ice didn't do anything for you. So, but I think that's how it is though. Some people just don't need ice based on how their body reacts to throwing. I think that's just.
Were you a heat guy?
How it is. Was I a heat guy? Yes. So there were times for sure when I felt like my shoulder or lat, let's say, was just kind of knotty. Just had muscle knots kind of all through it, and you get some kind of massage therapy, and that's why like with some heat, I kind of felt like I always responded well. So there were times where I felt like oh man, it just feels like a little tighter, like there's a knot in there. And then they'd go, oh yeah, there it is. It's right there. And then most of the time with a little like deep tissue massage, it would like release itself. And sometimes I'd be like, I would preheat it and I'd like warm it up and then they would massage and whatnot. So I felt like I responded well to the heat when in those situations, but I wouldn't necessarily heat on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah. And I wouldn't do it after the game. If I was to ever heat, it would be, before the game. But again, that wasn't every day or even every week, just how my arm felt and what I think I needed. But,
Well, yeah. I mean, I think that's part of it too, right? Is identifying as a pitcher your routine, your new way of doing things when you get up to the bullpen and you're throwing all these games and understanding what you need each day. And it may be different from time to time, but it's not easy to figure out. And it definitely takes some help from staff, veterans, and yourself just to identify what you think you need versus what you actually need. And yeah, it's certainly a much more intensive system in terms of making sure each program for each person is dialed in. But yeah, you kind of have to take ownership of it and say, all right, well, no, this is what I need today. This is what I want. This is what I'm ready to go.
I feel like there's a fine line too between what are the veteran guys doing as a younger guy, or what are the veteran guys doing? How do they take care of themselves? But also knowing your body and what you need, and knowing that you are yourself. You are not anybody else. You are not that veteran. You are not a starting pitcher. You're a reliever, but you're also not. It's important to be aware, to observe, to see what the older guys are doing and take a little bit from it. But certainly, I think most important is just knowing yourself and sticking to that and being comfortable with that.
Yeah.
Right. Like you always want to improve. You're always looking to improve, looking for new things. Like, I don't know how, it's funny, in spring, I'm down there in the bullpen and, oftentimes there's like, we call them jicks, right? Just in casers. So there are just a handful of guys that are in the minor leagues that go to a big league game. And, if the starter for whatever reason can't get out of the first inning and they're on they're building up, so they're on a pitch count, or just something, then one of these guys are here just in case. Often, they never know when they're going in. So I'll see some of these guys, they need a good 15, 20 minutes of plyo balls or bands or whatever it is to make them feel comfortable enough to go in the game. And I'm just like looking at it now as a big leaguer, unless you know your role, and most of us do at that point. But sometimes you just get the call and it's like, oh, I'm going in now. Oh, I don't have the 15, 20 minutes to go through my routine, right? That's kind of fun. It's interesting to me.
Yeah. And those are the best days, man. When you're in that situation, if you get the call to be a just in case guy coming over from minor league camp, you're like, this is the best day of spring training. I have a chance to pick. I'm not in big league camp, but I have a chance to pitch in a big league camp game right now in front of everyone. Yeah. Like I think I only had the chance to do that once when I was with Detroit before I got put on the 40-man, like actually got over there. And I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is the big show, right? And you just like, it can be a lot, and taking that all in and seeing guys that are well-established big leaguers and how they carry themselves. And, you continue to hear it. It's the same game, right? It's same game you've been playing your whole life, right? It's just a different level. And once you get there, it's a tough thing to figure out how to stay there, but the great ones figure it out.
That's for sure. I think a lot of that's...
I mean, we hung in there okay.
Yeah, heck yeah. No, I'm proud of, 6-7 years.
Yeah.
Could have been a lot less. Maybe it could have been more, but again, maybe not.
Better than... Well, I know. That's where it's just... It's so difficult and to get there, and I think we both can easily admit that there are plenty of other talented people that had more talent than both of us that didn't make it.
For sure,
due to injuries or bad luck or whatever. It's certainly a weird place to be, being like, all right, well, yeah, we decided that we could do this, and then whenever we did it.
Well, and I think too with that, like pitching is one part of it, right? Injuries can happen, or trades, and there's a lot more. It's more volatile, right? There's a lot more people coming in and out of the bullpen starting rotation than I feel there are position players. But imagine you are the first baseman in like the Angels organization, and they, you're so close, you're in AAA, maybe coming off a pretty darn good year, and then they sign Albert Pujols for 10 years. Now you're like, well, shoot, like there's no way I'm gonna get to first base in the big leagues with this organization. It's gotta be hard. It's got to be hard mentally on you.
Well, yeah, I think. Well, that's where I just continue to pull the parallels from baseball, and life. It's so cutthroat, and you have no control over a lot of things, and it's just the way it is.
Right.
And it really takes a long time, the way the current system is set up, to get to a point where you do have that freedom. And you're seeing now, like, obviously our teams are investing in players younger, and giving them that comfortable stability feeling, because that's what's so difficult, is like you have to be so good in your performance and your approach and your day-to-day teammate interactions and stuff, that just to have a chance. And then you just got to hope that it works out on the field, and that the team likes you enough to call you up, right? I think that's the other thing, is that I know there are players that have performed well enough to get called up only to be jumped over from someone else, right? Like, on paper, the person that you're calling up is worse than the person that is performing better, but they don't see the long-term potential in this person, even though at this moment in time they're pitching very well or hitting very well.
Yeah.
So it's kind of really difficult to see some of those things sometimes when you're going, well, do these people know more than what we see? And I think that's where I continue to feel so much gratitude that we even made it, man, because it's like, at some point the stars had to align, and we had to go out and execute and get it done, and then in hopes that the people that in charge liked what they saw enough to
that's
continue to give us an opportunity.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I think that's it. You gotta, you can. This is funny because I'll tell my little leaguers this, my club team this. It's the same game, but control what you can control and try not to control anything else because you just can't do it. So I think when you get involved in an organization, you control what you can control, your effort, attitude, preparation, but it's also going to take someone who believes in you, and not just someone, it's got to be the right someone, and maybe a few of them. But I think the difference between the big leagues and AAA is a pretty big gap, right? So I got to believe that whether it's scouting or just front office, I would imagine, and I don't know this at all, it's just me talking, maybe the guy that makes that decision to get called up or call somebody up, yeah, this guy in AAA might be performing better than the next starter or relief guy. Think the second guy, his stuff is actually going to play better in the big leagues right now. So let's go ahead and just call up this guy.
No, I get it. I think the tough thing, though, as a player is that you're judged on performance.
Yeah, sure.
And because we know, especially as relievers, I mean, I think I was in tune with it as a starter, like the stats of my performance, but I was way more in tune with the stats of my performance when I went to the bullpen. Because it was so fragile in terms of how things could go south so quick. Yeah. You give up a 4 spot and you're like, no.
Right. All right.
No. Oh man.
Yeah, no kidding.
It's gonna take a lot to bring that thing under.
You give up a 4 spot on game 160 in the season going into your arbitration year, and you see your ERA jump from a sub 2, let's just say, to now a 3 something.
Right. Historic season, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Darn it, that sub 2 looks a lot better in a contract year than a 310 or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I know, and that's it's so different in the bullpen, because I think that's where you really can be, as a stat thing. It's like there are certain things that there, as a bullpen guy, that makes you valuable, right? That's just without a doubt. So whether it's stuff, whether it's profile, whether it's approach, combination of it all, being left-handed in my case obviously helped. It's fascinating stuff, man.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I think are we going to start the show? Did we start it yet? 45 minutes in? I guess we'll start it, right?
Yeah. All right.
That's our approach to the things. See, that's what happens. We turn it on, we start hanging out, and then next thing you know, we're like, wait a minute, we were going to do things today. We did do a little things earlier. You heard a little bit, but welcome back to the Late Innings Show, folks.
Hey-o.
We are your host. I am Charlie Furbush, and this is the great Tom Wilhelmsen, a.k.a. the bartender. Hey-o. Down in AZ. Woo. This is a weekly podcast packed with the best big league stories, some, Mariners baseball, all these laughs, some life information, information, guidance, wisdom, if you will.
Just ask us.
Just ask us. But just make sure you go on YouTube and hit that subscribe button. Go to Apple and Spotify, download our show at the Late Innings Show. We're also on Instagram and X posting, and it's going pretty well, engaging with everyone. So we appreciate all the feedback. We appreciate everyone tuning in. It's been awesome so far. We want to continue that. So we'll continue to throw some things at you, and it'll be good. So what we're going to do today, though, Tom, we covered some of it, but I think we want to get into more fun things. Is that
let's
raunchy
I'm
things?
A fun guy.
Or we know you're a fun guy. I mean, is it like off day? Like if we're on an off day on the road, like what do we? I remember the one off day in Pittsburgh we had, you and I. I think it was, who else was with us? We kind of did a bar hop. We did a bar hop. Could have been
Brandon Maurer, maybe.
Was it Maurer with us?
Could have been.
Yeah, so
I feel like we did a bar hop more than Pittsburgh. I think we did one in Cleveland. Yeah, there are a couple breweries I think we had gone to. They were right next to each other, and we just walked across the street, had a pint.
I guess that is considered a bar hop.
Yeah.
That is one bar to the next. So yes, I guess we did hop from bar to bar.
But the one in Pittsburgh was fun.
I remember the one in Pittsburgh was great. I feel like we probably hit like 4 or 5 spots.
Maybe.
And I think it was we may have been on a quest for you to get Redbreast 12 year.
Gosh.
That Irish whiskey, I think. Isn't that? Hey, am I mistaken there?
Oh, that was a long time ago.
And like we struck out on the first two places, and then you finally found it. And we're like, yes, you guys got to try this. It's way better than the 15.
It is,
okay?
right? I mean, at least I thought so. It is way better. That's funny you remember that. Gosh, I haven't had a Redbreast in years, over 10.
Yeah.
I'm just not a whiskey guy so much.
Yeah. Neither was I, but your excitement that day, I was like, yeah, I'm definitely drinking whiskey today. You were so excited I don't know where it all happened or how it all started, but we found Redbreast and then bounced around in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I remember. Oh gosh, that's really funny
cocktails.
that you brought that up because I remember the bar at the hotel we stayed at when we were playing the Rangers or at Costa Mesa. Is that the area?
Mhm.
Yeah, they had the Redbreast at their bar, but they also had the beer Chimay, that Belgium, the Belgian ale.
Belgian beer.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff. And I used to drink Chimay. Again, I haven't had one of those in probably longer than I've had a Redbreast, but that's fun. Off day. Back to an off day. Yeah, sleeping in for sure. That's it.
Oh my gosh.
And then
First thing, yeah. It's like definitely getting brunch at noon. You're just sleeping in till 11 at least. Right. Oh my gosh. For sure.
Sleeping in, and then, I guess just going around and walking along around the city, looking at the architecture and hopping in for.
You were definitely one more to explore cities in that regard.
Yeah.
I felt like you were eager to take the morning or take an off day and, I want to go see this. I want to go there. I want to do that. Probably more than I was. I think there are days where I'd be like, nah, I think I'm just going to be the hotel all day.
Yeah, playing video games and
and chilling and ordering room service and sleeping and resting.
Nothing wrong with that.
Nothing
wrong with that.
It depends on the city. Maybe that's where I was in Cleveland on that bar hop that you went to.
You were just resting a rest day?
Maybe. I don't remember. I remember different things about Cleveland. I don't remember the bar hop. I remember the one time we were in Cleveland, they were filming the Avengers movie, I think, right. And Scarlett Johansson was at the hotel.
Right.
Yeah,
that was cool.
That was fun. I don't think anyone ever saw
No.
her. Not like the time we did see John Travolta.
Is that Tampa?
That was Texas.
That was Texas.
Maybe it was actually Tampa too. There might have been. He may have followed us or something. Well, he is
huge Mariner fan, huh?
I don't know. He's from Florida or lives in Florida. But I want to say it was in Texas at that Four Seasons there where you stayed at.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's kind of fun. You never know. You never know who's going to come in, who you're going to see, what celebrities are going to come by and hang out and say hi. I remember like we were in Oakland and Green Day, they're from that area and they came in and I remember I was like getting ready before the game and I'm like, oh man, I want to go hang out with Green Day. And, sure enough, walk out, talk to him for a little bit. Hey, is it cool if I take a quick shot? And I kind of implemented like a drink, but it was just like a picture, like quick shot, like, hey, I'm so clever and funny, Billy Joe, the lead singer, he's like, yeah, if it's a shot of lemon wheatgrass. I was like, easy. Yeah.
No way.
I was like, dude, you took it way too hard. That's lame. I don't need a picture anymore.
Oh, that's
great.
You run into, you definitely throughout the season, there are people coming in. I remember even in Seattle, I remember when Macklemore came in multiple times when his song was huge and he threw out the first pitch and just like, it's kind of fun when you just have these little moments. And I remember even a couple times catching the first pitch from the Mariners from somebody cool, right?
Who'd you get? Do you remember? Who was somebody cool that you caught first pitch from? Because I was always about that.
Same, as many times as I could. Man, there's a handful. The one that rings a bell, and I'm sorry that I don't have her name right off the top of my head, but she was at the time when it came out, and she was the co-star with Fred Armisen in Portlandia.
Oh, okay.
You remember the show Portlandia? Her name is Carrie Brownstein. Okay. And she was... I remember, I think I just started watching that show and I was like, oh, what a quirky, weird, hilarious show. And she was just as excited, excited to throw the first pitch out. And it was just, I remember that being like, oh, that was fun, But I mean, I did a handful of them. But I feel like that might've been one of the more memorable ones.
Yeah. I made it. I made it a thing. I remember telling PR or whoever it was that would ask us to do it. Like anytime there's a musician or, I'm all about it. So I did a lot. I remember the lead singer from Death Cab to Cutie. Death Cab for Cutie. Either way, Death Cab,
Mhm.
which my wife, loved and still does. And I remember catching the first pitch, and afterwards you sign the ball or hand it over and you take a picture. And I just remember
Right.
saying, "Oh, this is great. My wife totally loves you." And he looks at me, he's like, "Oh yeah, great." And as I'm walking back, I'm like, "Tom, you're such a dick. Like, like I don't really care for you, but my wife really loves you." And it got me, thinking like, "Hey, will you sign this? It's not for me. It's for somebody else." And I always remember like, just don't tell me that. Don't tell me it's for somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, and I just did the same thing to him.
Yeah.
Uh,
So now you just download every Death Cab for Cutie album to make up for
right.
it.
Yeah. We already had, like I said, my wife's a huge fan. So, I like a handful of songs too, but I definitely remember the lead singer from the Presidents of the United States of America. And when that song
Yes.
Lump came out, and
Millions of peaches.
yeah, Peaches.
Peaches for
like,
me.
Meow, 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 meow. Catch the first pitch, and he throws it, and I go up and I shake his hand. I look him in the eye, and I'm like, I just got to say, huge fan, and this is totally feather plucking insane. And he looked at me like, what in the heck is this guy? And I was like, okay, maybe I just surprised him with that or what, but
You probably did. He probably wasn't expecting you to be a super fan.
yeah, no, well, he should, because they were great. And
They
it
were.
was totally feather plucking insane. But shoot, when I was in Texas, we had George Bush come in the clubhouse,
Wow.
and I just remember like I'm playing ping pong, and before the game we had a ping pong table in the clubhouse, and he walks in with socks and Crocs, and I'm just like, well, cool. And he's shaking everybody's hand, and he's talking to him, like, "Oh, I remember that hit you got 2 years ago, and that just must have been great." And, just everybody. So he's finally coming to me, and I'm like, what am I going to say? Like, I really liked you in Harold and Kumar. Like, I don't know. I got the paddle in my hand, and I'm like,
Harold and Kumar
There's a
2,
two, yeah.
Escape from Guantanamo Bay. Okay.
I'm just like, "Hey, sir, like, nice to meet you." And in my head,
Yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, you call him sir. You got to call him Mr. President. You're a dork, Tom." And I was like, kind of like looked down at my paddle, and I was like, "Ping pong?" And he's like, "Oh, no, never touch the stuff," Like, it's like, right on, man. You're just a normal dude with socks and Crocs that doesn't play ping pong. But
Nice.
yeah, that was cool. And, Stan Lee. There were a lot more, I felt, celebrities that were in Texas, maybe because that's the middle of the country. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. Been able to hang out with, play baseball with Jack White. That's fun. They're obviously huge baseball fans, and we went to we had an off day in Detroit, I guess, and we went to his studio, Third Man Records. He gave us a tour, took a couple pictures, and then we actually met him that night after the game. A teammate and I, Brian Holiday. This was in Texas, and he's like, "Hey, you want to hang out with Jack White?" I was like, "Yeah, of course I do, man. Like, love him." We go out, we're in a cab, and we're kind of like driving to what I think is the ghetto. It's a little bit off, and it's late. I'm like, is this cool, man? I don't know. We see this like dive bar, and all right, well, here we go. And I walk in, and as soon as I walk through the door, Jack White is standing on the bar with like a shot in his hand, cheersing everyone like a total freaking rock star, man. And he rips it, puts it down. He's like, "Oh," and he looks over at us, and he's like, "It's the baseball players." I'm like, okay, he like yells this.
Grand entrance. Here they are.
And, like, I get Jack White just pumping us up right now in the middle of this bar, and we hung out, and
I'll have what he's having.
well, so that's what happened. He was like, "Well, what can I get you guys?" And I was like, "I'll have a tequila." And he's like, "Shit, another round of tequilas, bartender." And had a great night, and I've stayed in touch with his manager Lalo, and through that, Jack White does these like charity sandlot games all over the country,
Nice.
and so I met them one off season in I want to say Tulsa, Oklahoma. Flew out there, and even had a pitching appearance. Jack was playing first base, and it was really cool, really cool. So he's a true rock star, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are moments you just don't never forget when you have these little interactions and stories that you can't believe you're almost like moments you can't believe you're living. You're like, wait a minute, this is happening right now. I'm included in this.
I'm in the big leagues and I'm meeting and hanging out with the president or, the guy who invented Spider-Man or just, pretty cool stuff at the end of the day. Not just the baseball, but the folks, the people that you can meet along the way,
Yes. 5 seconds of fame while we had it, man,
Yeah, right.
Well, that's the message when you're in it, man. You got to enjoy it while you can, ride it as long as you can. It's like the best. It is the best job in the world.
Hands down.
Well, I mean, anything you love is the best thing in the world. And I think that's what it is. Like most of the guys and people you come across in the game, not just on the field, that are all associated with the team, they all love baseball. So you can feel it throughout the entire building in each organization. And that's what's so fun. It's just like, this is the greatest thing in the world. How can you not be happy? Even when you're losing, it sucks, but there is something really cool about being in the big leagues. So it's like, even if you lose, there's something to learn. There's something you can continue to try and improve on, and just be happy that you have the opportunity.
Well, and that's it too. I think at that point, you sometimes you win, sometimes you lose, sometimes it rains. It's like, it's part of the game, and that's what makes it so beautiful too, is like understanding you're going to struggle, you're going to be unsuccessful, you're going to strike out, you're going to make an error, you're going to make a mental error, you're going to give up the game-winning home run, but like battling that, knowing that this stuff happens and I can get through it. That to me is like the really fun mental part of this game at that level.
For sure. And just when you think you have it figured out, you don't. You're like, I'm onto something. Yeah, it'll humble you real quick.
So now I'm going to try something different, breathe through my eyelids, or, take apple cider vinegar shots or whatever.
Yeah, or I think I need a Fu Manchu. Like, clearly the beard is in the way, so why not just have a Fu Manchu out there? I think there's weird things we do to try and get ourselves back on track. And sometimes you got to do it, or at least you feel like you got to do it.
Yeah, right.
And it's like,
you feel like,
is it my routine? Is it my approach? Like, because at some point it's like what is the age old saying? It's like, you can do the same thing over and over again, but if you get the same result, like
insanity,
crazy or something like that.
Definition of insanity.
Right. Yeah. So it's like, at some point when you're going through the season and making adjustments, you can't just keep doing the same thing. Like, I can't just keep pitching the same way. If I am erratic, I got to adjust. If I am, getting beat, I need to figure out how to throw better strikes. So it's a constant game of adjustments, and it's the best in the world.
That's for sure. That's for sure. But I got a question, and this would have been really good for Joe, I think, because I remember Joe used to his fingernail, and he would scrape the seams to have him rise up a little bit, so he'd have like he said more touch, right?
Because some of those balls are tightly round.
Right. Yeah, really tight, and I kind of liked it that way. Actually, I didn't need the seems to be raised too much. But what if you got a ball back with a scuff on it? Would you ditch it and ask for a new ball, or would you use that to your advantage? For me,
I don't know.
Yeah, I would get rid of it.
I don't think I ever examined it enough to be like, oh, it's scuffed. I think I'd only notice it if it was like in the, like where my fingers were touching the ball. Does that make sense?
Yeah. But
like, if it was on the ball, I don't think I need a new baseball. This is going to affect my pitch. And I don't think that I ever saw it and was like, ooh, now my stuff's nastier. Like, I don't, if anything, I probably, now I probably did get a new ball for all like when it comes down to it. Like, oh, I'll just get a new one,
Well, and it was hard to do in our day too. There, the lifespan of a baseball is what, like 3 pitches? I mean,
yeah.
Like
probably less now.
Yeah, less now. You throw one ball in the dirt. It's not like they're giving it back to you. Catcher automatically just either hands it up or dishes it, and a new ball. I'm sure it's a lot harder to get away with that now than it was before. But
yeah, well, it's the whole authentication system. They all get authenticated. They all get repurposed back to the team. They put autographs on them. They sell them for charitable things, all sorts of different things. And
were you still playing when the umpires were checking your hands with the glove?
I just missed that.
Yeah, I would have loved it. For a guy that barely even touched the rosin bag, I would have been just, here you go, every time.
You didn't lick your fingers. You didn't touch the rosin bag. You just grabbed the ball and were able to throw the pitch. Like, that's what I was like. I was like, oh my gosh, what is this cue ball? I need to rub this thing up like crazy.
Yeah, you were
right now. Oh my gosh, I got to lick my fingers like crazy to get this grip. Like I was always looking for this tack. And there were many times where I felt like if I was slow, because if I was like slow to pitch, it wasn't because I wasn't like, it was because I had to get the ball ready. Like the ball wasn't, I couldn't throw the pitch the way I wanted to. So there were multiple times where I'd get a brand new ball and I'd be like, oh my gosh. And I'd sit here and I'd try to not like slobber all over my hand, but sometimes I'd have to go a little extra just to get that first layer off the ball. So then I feel like, oh yeah, now it's in that place where I can throw it the way I want to throw it, because you feel naked on the mound if you don't know where it's going. It is like the most uncomfortable feeling. And if the last point of contact is my fingers and I don't have a grip and I'm not able to manipulate the ball the way I want to, then it's going to be terrible out there. And I had various instances where I was fighting it, but yeah, I definitely needed, and that's the thing. I never used pine tar. I did try it in practice once.
Pine tar?
Like to see.
Yep.
Yeah, I did try it and I was like, oh, let's see what, I just wanted to I think I want to see what happens.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And it was like first 5 balls, I threw it like 40 feet.
Right
like,
in the
just
ground.
spiked them right into the ground. Like I had even worse control with pine tar. So it was something that I was like, oh, I can't. I was like, and it's like all over my hands. I don't know if I used too much or whatever, but
That's gross.
It was like I did one experiment with it, and I was like, yeah, I'm good, never again.
I was the same. Again, it was a time of struggling, and I never used the tack or the pine tar or suntan lotion and rosin, but I did try it once in the middle of a scuffle. I knew I wasn't going to pitch that day, so when I went to warm up, 2, 3 hours, 4 hours before the game,
right? Same.
I applied the sunscreen and.
I didn't do that. You did the sunscreen rosin?
I did the sunscreen rosin, yeah. I hated the way pine tar felt, so I didn't even give it a shot. I figured I wasn't going to do this often anyway, just because I have never done it before. But it was the same as you. I chucked it just straight, like lawn dart, right into the ground. Like, no, this is...
It's kind of funny to watch.
This is dumb. I'm not going to...
After the third one, I was like, okay, yeah, I have no chance. I have no chance. Because it totally changed everything. And I had even less chance of finding the release point.
Yeah. And that was another part. Again, a release point. So now you're changing how you normally throw in order to, make this pitch. But I'll remember, hearing guys playing catch, some of these guys would apply so much stuff on their hands. You can hear the ball, ripping their skin off as they're playing catch, chucking the ball.
Yeah, I think there were a handful of players that... Well, so the way I look at it is that from my conversations with guys on it that ever used it and dabbled with it, I felt like 90% of them, if not more, were just trying to get their pitches to be where they were. Like most of the guys weren't sitting here being like, I am doing this so it's all nastier. It's all going to spin harder. And I'm sure there are cases out there that definitely did it that way. But from my conversations and interactions with guys that ever used it, it was all just to be keep the standard the same, so that I'm not fighting grip issues. And it's that's what brings me back to feeling naked on the mound is dude, I remember specific times where I'm like, I have no idea where it's going right now. And I don't know what to do. Do I throw my hands up in the air and be like, I can't throw this ball? Do I call the game and stop the game and be like, oh no? And I remember one time I got one and let me get a new one. Kind of looked at it right away, chucked it right back to the dugout. No, I need a new one. Got the same one. It was even worse. This is just so bad. How am I going to do this? And I just think that especially when you're fighting different environments, that's the thing that's really challenging is that it's one thing to, pitch down in Miami where it's super humid or Atlanta, and then it's different to go pitch in Colorado or Arizona or San Francisco or Seattle, right? So there's a variety of different environments, and I think fighting grip issues was always so challenged for me. And as somebody that ultimately doesn't have super large hands, I wanted to make sure. I know you have, very large hands, but I didn't have that advantage. So I had to figure out ways to make sure that my grip was sufficient so I could throw the pitches effectively. Sure. And you know me, I wasn't one that walked guys, so it wasn't like I dealt with this that often. But man, there were definitely times where I was like, I am fighting the ball.
Yeah.
Like, and that was just an uncomfortable place to be.
Yeah, nothing. It's not fun to feel naked out there. That's for sure. It's not fun to walk guys in a row. Walk anyone, but like, 2 or 3 guys in a row is like, how embarrassing is this? I am a professional pitcher and I can't even throw a strike. I'm like, oh, sure duty. It can really beat you up if you're not mentally tough and realize that you're going to have bad days sometimes,
Yeah. Dude, brings me to the next thing I want to bring up of another like crazy story that is it a crazy story? Maybe it's a crazy story. Maybe it's not. I guess we could call it, we almost all died. Do you remember
plane flight?
The plane where we were landing and we almost all died?
Yeah. We were flying to Texas, and then they're like,
Texas. No, we were trying to get to Dallas.
Can't land here.
We were trying to get to Houston or Dallas, and I think we were trying to get to, maybe he was trying to get to Houston, but we landed in Dallas and we couldn't get to Houston. So then like we flew over to San Antonio, and then they were like, there's a break in the weather. We can get to Houston, or we can get to, no, it was to Dallas. We were going to play the Rangers. You're right. It was Dallas. We landed in Houston or whatever. We had to make a stop because the weather was nasty out. Lightning, thunder, crazy winds. And we're sitting, I don't know, I guess in San Antonio or wherever. And we think at this point, I don't know, we may have to leave till like 3 a.m. till like the storm passes, right? And we get the pilot's like, hey, there's like a 70-minute window and we can get up and get there. We should be good. And I remember being like, all right, we're going to do this. So we got approval. We take off, we get up in the air, and it wasn't anything like remarkably bumpy.
No.
It wasn't anything like super turbulence. I mean, normal stuff in a windy day. It wasn't anything crazy, but we descend down into Dallas and we get hit at what do you think, dude? Are we like 100 feet above the air or above the ground?
I mean, I think even closer. Yeah.
Right? Like, all I know is that we get drilled by some wind and the whole fucking plane just like went sideways, dude. And then within an instant, went back the other way.
Yeah.
And then like recorrected itself and then landed.
Yeah. But landing was, the wings were like a bird. They were like up and
they were
down and up and down. I'd never seen wings like that. And now I'm thinking, we can't land like this because the wings are going to hit the ground and we're all going to die.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
But sure enough, we didn't.
And
he landed it and was like, die. You are the greatest pilot in the world, sir. Thank you so much.
I think that was like the standing ovation. Yeah. Everyone was like freaking out that we like, I think it like, you didn't realize how close it was. And then it happened. And you were like, oh my gosh, we all like had this, call everyone you love, tell me you love
gosh,
them.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I remember too, the pilot's daughter was there and like on the tarmac too when they were landing, and I guess she was like freaking out too. Yeah, right?
Yeah, she saw the whole thing from the ground coming in. She was like, and then I think we asked him like the next flight, because he was like the pilot for the team that year, and we were like, dude, was that the worst, craziest landing ever you've ever had? And he's like, yeah, without a doubt. And I was like, oh my.
Little did I know, the wings are built for that. I didn't.
No, I know, but just you travel so much, and it is a nice way of traveling. Most teams have it chartered or their own plane. It's nice and whatnot, but traveling is still. It's like it's always one of those things that I think is. I hope nothing ever bad happens to anyone on a plane, but I just always remember. I don't know who started it, if it was Félix or I'm trying to think who other characters would have said this. But I remember every time we took off, literally every flight, it was like, we're on the tarmac. All right, here comes takeoff. And somebody in the back is yelling, get up, get up, get up. Like, you're like just
probably Félix,
waiting
right?
Félix.
Probably Félix.
But it was always
that was the scariest part for me. It still is on planes, taking off. And I don't know why. It's just like a burst of power, so much power. But once we're up, I'm fine. I don't mind landing.
Once you get used to it,
but taking off is always the nervous part for me.
Yeah. Nuts, man. Absolutely.
Speaking of travel here, I'm going to have to go travel to our baseball practice here in a minute.
Yeah. Big practice tonight. You got tryouts tonight?
Tryouts are tomorrow.
Okay.
But practice tonight. We've got one more tournament, and then we'll go to Cooperstown at the end of next month. And then our season is done, man.
And then it's on to summertime in Arizona, or I guess it probably is already.
No, it's not there.
Is May 1st the first day of summer because it's so hot down there?
I think we're still in the 80s right now. 90 plus is approaching in the next few days, but it's been pretty nice here recently.
I love it.
Same. Love it. That 115's coming. It's coming, and it's gonna.
Oh, it's coming.
It's gonna hang for a bit, and so we'll take a few months off in the summer. My kids will, Hannah, she swims year round, but Kai will take some time off of the ball field, and he'll join Hannah on the swim team, and that's so fun. I'm a total swim dad. I never thought swimming was a sport, just because I just associated it with having fun and cooling off and Marco Polo, stuff like that. But then I tried to swim, and I'm like sweating under the water, which was crazy to me. And I'm just like huffing and puffing, and now I can't, it's amazing sport. I love it. I love watching my kids swim, all the strokes.
Nice.
And I think it could be beneficial for pitchers too, that shoulder.
Yeah, it's a great workout. I think, no doubt about it. Next week, I want to get into kangaroo court.
Okay.
I want to,
gosh, yeah, there's some good ones there.
Some good kangaroo court
kangaroo
stories.
Court was fun.
If you've ever been fined, I'm not sure. I've only been fined, I think, once. I always was pretty good about being like, nope, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to make this happen.
No. I can, there's a handful of kangaroo court stories we can share tomorrow or next week. Looking forward to that. So, shoot, that sounds good, buddy.
It's going to happen. I love it, man. Come down in the bullpen. You never know what's going to happen, where it's going to go. But that's the point. That's why you tune in every week, folks. That's why you come down to the bullpen. We just appreciate you being here. Appreciate you engaging with us. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode, and we'll see you next week.
See ya. Peace.